Did you know that the first ever call center in the Philippines opened in 1992? Since then, the Philippines BPO industry has grown on a massive scale, and today there are more than 700 BPOs operating in the country. The growth of the business process outsourcing industry in the Philippines was so fast that the country was globally recognized as the call center capital of the world and continuously impresses global organizations. According to some experts, Filipino is the most accent-neutral language. Aside from that, Filipinos are highly admired for their remarkable talents, personality, and character. Today, the islands of the Philippines, a developing nation, is still leading in the BPO race among the ASEAN members. The industry of BPO in the Philippines has its boom for the last several years and consistently gaining grounds as one of the most reputable industries so far.
Hi, thank you for calling Team BPO Company. We are proud to announce that our company has been rated as one of the top BPO companies not only in the Philippines but across Southeast Asia. Please hold on as I will be assisting you throughout this conversation. To give you a quick background, the researcher will be presenting their case study about the adoption of work from home setup during pandemic as a strategy in BPO industry. But before we dive in with the main concern, I would like to introduce to you the researchers. Lizelle Bernal, Charis Garan, Raymart Lagasca, Christine Tabin, and Reginald Faustino. And they are the strategists with brilliant minds behind this study. So for the content of the presentation, we have the rationale, methodology, profile of the respondents, presentation of findings, and the conclusion to be discussed by your researchers. Now, can I ask if I can place this call on hold for about a minute or two for us to start this discussion?
To begin with, allow me to discuss with you the rationale. BPOs are considered one of the fastest growing industries in the Philippines. This is a strategic approach in order to transfer other non-core functions to more specialized external providers. In the Philippines, there is a vast number of BPOs that are presently doing their operations. These organizations also adopted remote working as their strategy to mitigate the contagion of COVID-19. Given this context, BPOs tend to adopt work-from-home setup as their strategy due to changing quarantine restrictions in the country. This strategy becomes their solution to prevent the consequences of the pandemic that might affect their operations. Moreover, this also becomes their strategy to address the requirements of the government with regard to the implemented health protocols. Furthermore, this strategy eliminates the burden brought about by public transportation, which has become an issue during the lockdowns. Thus, this study aims to know the advantages and disadvantages of working from home as a strategy in the BPO industry. Further, this qualitative case study aims to check the effectiveness of work from home and its impact on employee productivity during the pandemic.
Moving on to the methodology of this study, the researchers conducted a structured interview for this study as it is the most appropriate method there is when gathering information on people's opinions and perspective. A structured interview consists of a set of predetermined questions pertaining to a specific topic
which are asked in a specific order. The researchers use an open-ended interview questions in order to generate ideas and easily compare the responses of the three respondents from three different BPO organizations, one from operations team manager and two supervisors. Furthermore, the researchers choose this method of data collection so that they could have an absolute control over the course of the study, as it allows them to justify certain issues throughout the procedure if necessary.
This study will not be successful without the participation of these three hardworking TL, supervisor, or manager in different BPO companies in the Philippines. To give you an insight, allow me to introduce them to you and give a short background about who they are, their responsibility, and what BPO companies they are work from. The first respondent is Ms. Hussein Angelic Cruz. She is currently a supervisor from Teleperformance, and she's been in industry for almost 1 year and 5 months. In her work as a TL, he managed 10 to 12 agents, and her main responsibility is not only to manage her agent but also help her agent to develop and grow as a person. The second respondent is Mr. Juanito Alcazar. He is currently operational team manager from Alorica and has been part of the company for almost 13 years. In fact, he became an agent for 8 years and 5 years as a team leader. Currently, he taking care of 17 agents, and his main priority is to check the attendance and monitor the day-to-day statistic of his agent. The third and the last respondent in this study is from Peak Outsourcing. He is Mr. Raymond Hill Lugatiman. He has been in industry for almost 5 years. He is currently a supervisor managing 20 agents. In fact, he has been 4 years in the Dumaguete side, but he was transferred in Makati City and experienced handling more than 20 agents, and now he was almost 1 year as a supervisor in Peak Outsourcing at Makati City. His main task is to manage also a people, but also he ensures that his agents have a product knowledge and support them when there is a problems and circumstances. The researcher chose these three respondents as the best candidates for this study that provide inputs in this research, which is about work from home setup during pandemic in BPO industry.
Now we're done with the findings of this study. The researcher formulated the categories depending on the questions they asked to their interviewee or respondents in order to get the concrete or specific information from all the data gathered. The categories was chosen to represent all the significant ideas of the respondents that may serve the realization of the objectives of this study. First, the researcher asked the respondents on what their company work set up before and during pandemic. All of the respondents said that their company is 100% on-site before, but during pandemic, work from home was implemented. The second one is strategies that was used during pandemic. The first respondent said that massive distribution of equipment and training was done. The second respondent is that moving of agents to different account because there are accounts in BPO or on their company that was forced to close during the situation, like the hotel reservation and move to logistics. But also, they implement work from home for those capable. Third respondent, PCs are distributed and internet assistance was provided. So all in all, respondents said is that during pandemic, the BPO companies tend to adopt the work from home arrangement as their main strategy. Next one is decision making on implementing the work from home as a strategy. Based on the three respondents, they all said that it is hard decision for the companies, but a decision that the BPO companies had to make in order to still operate during the pandemic. This might be a tough decision, however, when it comes to BPO industry, the more calls that they got is the more they will be paid. The next one is advantages and disadvantages of work from home. So same like with the other things, the work from home setup also has advantages and disadvantages. The first is the advantages. First is you have your time. Less absenteeism since the computer can be accessed at the comfort of your house. And the most important thing is the company will still earn and workers still have the job, because as what the other respondent said is that during pandemic, BPO industry is an industry that still operates and provide jobs for the people in the needs of pandemic. While the disadvantages that was provided by the interviewee are: first is internet connection is not stable at home, that may still affect the responsibility of the worker. Distraction since you're at home, and the most common that all respondents said is that when it comes to work from home, it is hard to do the coaching sessions with their people since they are working in different locations. And the next one is employees' productivity. First respondent said that work from home increases productivity since workers does not need to go to site, and that cause for them to have more time to rest. While the second respondent, it may increase productivity, but it depends on the person. Because the respondent said that in his personal experience in work from home setup, he sees it as a temptation for zero productivity, since at home, you tend to take rest than to do the work. Third respondent, yes, it increases the productivity, but it should have proper management like supervision to the people. Simply, respondents consider work from home helps increasing the productivity, yet there are still must be considered and depending on the management and the worker as well. Work from home as must in an organization. First respondent said it is a must since it has many advantages compared to disadvantages, and it helps many people. Second respondent, it is not a must since he sees that people should still be on site while working. While the third respondent, it is a must, but depending on the accounts that the people are handling, like law firms or those accounts that has confidential data, then it should not be at home. So on this part, the interviewee taking their own sides that work from home is a must and also not for some reason. Last category is the effectiveness of work from home setup during pandemic. So the researcher asked the respondents to rate the effectiveness of the work from home arrangement. First interviewee said 9 out of 10 is the effectivity of the work from home since it is a strategy that their company had to do. Yet it is not a complete 10 because the respondent gave the other one to problems with internet connections that must be addressed. Second respondent, the interviewee rated it as 8 for the reason that he believed that work from home does not allow workers to excel. While the third respondent gave 8 as well as productivity-wise and staffing-wise, since the work from home is the key for the BPO to still have calls then earn during pandemic. So thus, to all the rate that was provided by the interviewee or the respondents, they still consider work from home effective. But also there are things must be considered or still have a downside that must be considered.
For the last part of the study, after conducting an interview with the 3 respondents, supervisors and operation team managers at different BPO companies, researchers concluded that the work from home setup is effective during the pandemic in the BPO industries. BPO industries such as Teleperformance, Alorica, and Peak Outsourcing companies are employed work from home setup during the pandemic. These BPO companies or industries conduct different strategies on how to execute this setup. Before the pandemic, these 3 BPOs industries are 100% working on site. So this setup is a new tactic for the companies. Managers and supervisors need to establish plans on how to carry out this new setup. They deliver PCs to all agents and give immediate training, and they provide internet assistance in order to have better internet or Wi-Fi connection. Compared to other industries, BPO companies are the one that is flexible in adopting the work from home setup, especially in the middle of the pandemic in early 2020. People are prohibited to go outside. but most of the agents are needed to continue working during those times. So, companies considered implementing work from home. Based on this study, there are a lot of advantages of the work from home setup. It allows employees to continue working, and companies are able to not lose their clients and continue operating to generate income. And also, according to the managers and supervisors, 8 out of 10 is the rate of effectiveness of work from home during the pandemic or since it was implemented. It says that it is effective, but there are some things that need to improve, like the quality of the internet connection. Some employees don't excel, and it's hard for the managers and supervisors to monitor and mentor the agents. But with proper management and by considering every aspect of work from home setup, it surely helps employees and companies, and it will increase the productivity of employees. Overall, the adaptation of work from home setup during the pandemic as a strategy in the BPO industry is effective, and it is one of the foremost strategies that BPO companies considered during the pandemic. And also, it can be considered as a long-term strategy in this industry.
And that's all our case study presentation for today. Again, this is Raymar Tagasca.
I am Reginald Faustino.
This is Christine Tabing.
And Rizal Bernal.
And I am Charis Garan, and we are the Group Life BPO industry. And that's all.
Thank you for watching.
We hope you are extremely satisfied with the discussion that was provided by the researchers today. If you have time, we really do appreciate that you give us a feedback to the discussion, or you may receive an email survey asking you to rate your experience with the researchers and your overall experience with the presentation. And if you have any other concerns, don't hesitate to call us back. So have a great day and bye for now.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.